Good morning, this is Brendan O'Connor signing in to present my project for the Interactive Digital Techniques module. I'm going to get this little NAF slide out of the way here. It's called Vocal Reanimation, and it looks very boring just like this for now, but basically what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of how the Vocal Reanimator works. And I'm just going to give you a quick demo of what the software can do. I got permission from someone to use their sound file. So this is the original sound file that was contributed. Let's hear it.
Mark, Daniel, O'Neill, Daunt.
And then the remix track using the Obama timbre.
Mark, Daniel, O'Neill, Daunt.
So you can hear quite well in that, I think, the vowels and the consonants. So we have our monitor and compression just to control the volume of what we record into it. I'll move the mouse here so we can see what we're doing as well. You record your sample here, you can listen to it back. I'm going to go through all of this in a few minutes anyway, again demonstrate it for you. We can choose who the person is that we want to merge our voice with. So we have a lot of musical options there, whether it's Bach, Berlioz, Metallica, Chili Peppers, and so forth. Then we have a lot of speeches, whether it's Ellen DeGeneres, Barack Obama, Angelina Jolie, and so forth. So we can hear one of those signals there for a second, just to show you what I mean.
My fellow Americans, tonight I want to talk to you about Syria, why it matters,
and so forth. Down here we have the option to select how much of that speech or how much of that song we're going to analyze before comparing my voice to their voice and trying to get a combination of the two. We're not going to worry too much about this section here. It's just the specifics about the FFT window size, the bins, and the resolution by frame sets, which is a reference to how it kind of skips through the audio file to find the best match to my voice. We have the remix button here and a nice little loading screen here. This is quite important actually because it's not real-time processing, so there is a little bit of a wait depending on how accurate you want the software to be. And then there's two options down here to play your original file in parallel to the remixed file that combines both our voices. This is kind of necessary because, well, as you'll shortly hear, the software doesn't do exactly what you expect. So I think it's kind of important that we hear both of them side by side so you can hear the similarities. It's much easier to point them out when you hear it on its own later on. There's this little slider down here, but that only changes the speed of playback. If you wanted to kind of dissect the reanimated voice and kind of hear in slow motion exactly what it's doing. Cool, so without further ado, I'm going to set this up and we'll get started. I'm going to use my headphones just for the recording aspect of this. Otherwise we're going to get some nasty feedback and it'll just be nicer. I'll take them off in a second so you can hear it playing back anyway. And I have a small prescribed script, which is kind of best for me to speak out so I can demonstrate this properly. Okay, so let's record a sample. S, A, H, E, F, I, L, O, G, U. So you can hear how it sounds here. Better turn the mic off actually. So I'm just going through some consonants and some vowels so we can demonstrate how each one is represented. We will stick with Obama as the voice that we're going to change over to. Now just a few words very quickly about this in general, about how it works. So the software is designed to get two audio signals, in most cases it's usually speech, combining them together so that it has the timbral aspect of one and the spectral envelope of the other. As I said, I'm going to demonstrate for you with this Obama speech file. It's going to analyze, so it'll analyze both Obama's speech and the speech that I'm putting into it as well. And then it's going to compare, it's going to do an analysis on both of them using FFT windows, probably about what would we say, 50 milliseconds in length. And then basically it's going to compare those FFT windows and decide how the Obama's speech should be best rearranged in order to best mimic the spectral envelope of my voice. Let me see, I think that rearranging on the version. Okay, so I'll demonstrate that for you now. It will take a little while, so we're just going to, as I was saying before, it's not real time, it's a bit unfortunate, but it does take a little while to do. I'm going to choose about a third of the speech to analyze. I don't want to go too far because otherwise it's going to take all day to process. So in the meantime, while it's doing that, I'll also say, let's see, before we start playing, what we can expect. It's going to be quite bubbly, and that's I think that's mainly because of the nature of the reconcatenation. Because it's kind of chopping up the speech and rearranging in the size of 50 millisecond windows, you do get a kind of a pulse wave of those windows kind of playing through, and so you get kind of a low tone of a buzz. And what else was there? It's kind of monotone as well. And this is because I think just it's very difficult for it to find an FFT window within Obama's voice that is similar to mine in timbre. So it ends up being quite small, the range of notes that it can use. That's definitely one place of interest that I would like to explore further. See if I can get the software to analyze more than just, or look for more than one possibility of frequency, of fundamental frequency in speech. Which I imagine would give us a much more colourful results. It does fairly well with vowels, and with the consonants it seems to capture more of the sibilances. So all the sibilances and S's, depending on the person whose voice we're converging with, of course. Great, it's loaded now, so let's have a quick listen to that. Let's play them together so we can hear the similarities between the two first of all. So we're hearing both my voice and both Obama's voice. Okay, so you could already hear a little bit of it, what it's going to sound like. I think it's important that we play both of them together first, before we play the second one separately. In fact, let's hear it now. Let's hear how it sounds. So just the reconcatenated Obama voice, mimicking what I was saying. So yeah, once again you can hear that it's quite monotone because of the range of the FFT windows, what it's able to look for in representation of my voice. And you can hear that it is quite clearly trying to look for the right vowels and then the right consonants in between, and that's kind of how it works. Let's try it with a female voice, actually, see how that sounds. I do know for a fact this isn't going to work so well, and again that's because the female voices will be much higher than mine. The timbre is so much more different, and it's going to have a hell of a time trying to combine them together. However, we'll try image and heap. That's just done now, actually. So let's hear how it sounds together. So let's hear mine first again, or here, let's hear both of them together rather. I have a feeling it's not going to sound as good as the Obama one, like I anticipated. But so let's hear it anyway. Yeah, that not so much. You can hear that it kind of breaks up the syllables and the vowels, but in terms of reproducing them, it's not exactly what we'd expected. I think that's also because of the frequency content of the image and heap song Hide and Seek. it's so powerfully exciting so much of the frequency spectrum that the software doesn't quite know what the best frames are to pick out from it. And finally, let's go with some music, Astor Piazzolla. And you're going to hear when we mix this together that, as I warned before, originally I wanted to do this with music and kind of have a reconcatenation of your voice using tiny little samples from Piazzolla or the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And if you slow down the reproduction of your voice with their timbre, you would kind of hear tiny snippets of the music in between. It wasn't quite the case though. The software didn't quite know, for similar reasons, what to do with the music, because again there's so much focus on the low end frequency spectrum, and the range totally outweighs the range within the voice as well. So it's going to do something quite crazy. So let's hear both of them together. Let's hear how that sounds. Beautiful. Yeah, a bit of a disaster with the music, as I said, for the reasons I mentioned earlier. So to conclude, so far this software works relatively better with male voices, or at least male to male voices. We did have some females trying it with the female voice on the day, and that did work to some degree, particularly with Angelina Jolie's content. So once again, it does operate as anticipated with the male voices. Still a long way to go before it works as smoothly as I would like it. As I said, I'd like to explore the possibility of having my software be able to get a more, not polyphonic, but get a bit more character into its representations, using perhaps the same pitch as what they, maybe mimicking the pitch contour of the person that input their speech in the first place. And of course it'd be great to get it working evenly both for women and men as well. We could demonstrate with all of these all day, but I'll try and make some more videos later in the year when I've improved on the software. And if you have any suggestions as to how it could improve, you can leave a comment below or just send me a message, and I'd be very delighted to speak with someone who knows what they're doing in terms of music information retrieval, and any Macs users that may have done something like this before. I'd love to hear from you. Alright, great, thanks very much. Bye bye.